Hey there, welcome to Worth It Wednesday. Every Wednesday we send a principle worth learning, a question worth answering, and a recommendation worth taking. Today's principle is that impact-driven leaders don't just give feedback, they ask for it. And this is so important because it's related to the idea of humility, right? I think we can all agree that humility is a virtue that is essential if you're going to be a leader. Well, what is humility? Humility is to have an accurate viewpoint of oneself. Now, this is how this ties into feedback. You're going to have an accurate viewpoint of oneself. Unless you live, act, and work in isolation, the only way you can possibly have an accurate viewpoint of yourself is in the presence of other people, because you are always working with and acting with and operating with and around and for other people. And so therefore, if we're going to have an accurate viewpoint of ourselves, we need to consult and be informed by other people's perspectives and perceptions. How do we do that? Well, we get feedback. And how do we get feedback? Well, if you're a leader, recognize this. The people that work for you, that work around you, that work with you, that respect you, that admire you, they're not naturally going to go out of their way to tell you the areas where you're weak, where you're inadequate, or where you're not meeting standard. They're not going to go out of their way to do that, because that doesn't represent the path of least resistance, right? Why would someone opt in for more resistance than what would just naturally occur? So they're not just naturally going to do that. You have to ask for it. You need to show your people that it's okay to give you negative feedback or feedback that's less than positive, if you want to look at it in a little bit of a nicer way. You need to show them that it's okay, and more than that, it's okay, that it's safe. Right? And the way that you do that is you ask for it. So I just love that John Maxwell line that we put in the email where he says, what's it like to be on the other side of me? That's such a good question, right? And so one of the things that I'm really excited that we're going to be doing at Path for Growth this year, this is the first time I've done this because our team is now much bigger than it was a year ago, is because it's January and because we're going to be starting a new year and we're looking ahead. One of the things that we believe it's always good to reflect on where we've been and where we currently are is I've got an hour meeting scheduled with every person on our team just to sit down with them and ask them for their feedback on the business and for my leadership. Right? And I'm so excited about that because I don't know if it's going to all be good. It's probably not all going to be good, right? There may be some of it that's negative, right? But it's way better to know the negative than to live in ignorance of it. And so the principle here that I want you to remember is that impact-driven leaders don't just give feedback. We're all great at giving feedback. We need to be asking for feedback. And then when people give it to you, just say thank you. That's all you have to say. You don't have to make excuses. You don't need to give justification. You don't need to give explanation. You don't need to make jokes if they're giving you positive feedback. You just need to say thank you. And sometimes you need to say, okay, I'm going to process this a little bit and get back to you on what I'm going to do differently or things like that. But the biggest thing here is have the guts to intentionally and deliberately and sincerely ask for feedback. Y'all have a killer Wednesday. Let's go, let's go, let's go.